Recording live from the Bryant neighborhood on the historic Black South Side of Minneapolis. Welcome to People Power.
You can't fool all the people all of the time, but if you fool the right ones, then the rest will fall behind. Tell me who's got control of your mind, your worldview. Is it the news or the movie you taking your girl to?
Welcome to People Power, speaking truth to power daily. My name is Merjan, I'm your host. Thank you for joining us for our 9th episode. And today, of course, we have many coronavirus updates. And I am also going to play y'all an interview from Democracy Now! Today featuring writer Matt Stoller, who's warning America of a corporate coup. I'll play you the whole interview and give you an analysis of that after coronavirus updates. Today, Minnesota officially begins its stay-at-home order declared by Governor Tim Walz. And the order lasts for 2 weeks, March 27th until Friday, April 10th. And it was a little confusing to me at first, the difference between stay-at-home order and shelter-in-place, but it looks like they're the same thing. What is open are hospitals, clinics, state legislature, food, including grocery stores, farmers markets, food banks, convenience stores, bakeries, takeout and delivery restaurants, pharmacies, food shelves, convenience stores, liquor stores, child care facilities, news organizations, gas stations, funeral homes, banks, hardware stores, and post offices. Governor Walz did announce that schools will resume on May 4th, but of course everything is up in the air. Everything is subject to change if there is new science. In the next 2 weeks, the governor suggested we could shelter in place for up to 5 months. CNN reported that United Kingdom Prime Minister Boris Johnson, the right wing from the Conservative Party, has tested positive for the coronavirus, as well as his health secretary, who's in charge of the coronavirus response. You know, again, heads of states and leaders, powerful people across the world are testing positive. And before we begin to celebrate, another one, another powerful man is tested positive, let's remember they have the money and the resources to get tested. So many of us are probably positive, but we don't have access to testing. Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, her husband, is now recovering from the coronavirus. She said to CNN today he was hospitalized on the East Coast, but now he's at home recovering. Y'all know Senator Klobuchar recently dropped out of the Democratic primary. She was running to be president. We know Amy Klobuchar from framing innocent black child Maya Burrell for murder. Her and the Minneapolis Police Department needed to get a conviction to close this case. And we'll have more on that subject in future episodes. Let's turn right now to the website ncove2019.live, created by 17-year-old Avi Schiffman from Seattle. And right now, the United States is currently the epicenter of the coronavirus global pandemic. There are over 500,000 cases now around the world of people who have tested positive for coronavirus, with 568,238 confirmed cases worldwide. Here in the United States, we are now in first place with 93,105 confirmed cases of the coronavirus, with 1,521 deaths. That is not a competition that we want to win, unfortunately. Italy is close second with 86,498 confirmed cases of the coronavirus, with a whopping 9,134 deaths. China has 81,340 confirmed cases of the coronavirus, with 3,292 deaths. Spain has 64,059 confirmed cases of the coronavirus with 4,934 deaths. Spain has the second highest mortality rate in the world. And Germany has the lowest. They currently have 50,178 confirmed cases with only 338 deaths. I read an article on NPR's website about Germany. The other day I was baffled how they had such a low mortality rate, and this article simply broke it down to testing. They interviewed some doctors in Germany, and the perspective that was given was that Germany started testing right away. They did not have a centralized agency that was doing all the testing, so laboratories, universities, hospitals were allowed to do their own testing, and they confirmed early, a ton of cases of the coronavirus, and they've been able to get ahead of the problem. France, as reported by ncov2019.live, has 32,964 confirmed cases of the coronavirus with 1,995 deaths. Here at home in the U.S., New York is still the epicenter of the coronavirus with 44,635 cases, 519 deaths. New Jersey is soaring with new outbreaks. They have 8,825 confirmed cases with 108 deaths. And I hope my family in New York and New Jersey are staying safe and staying healthy. California has 4,459 confirmed cases of the coronavirus with 90 deaths. Michigan has 3,657 confirmed cases with 92 deaths. And it was reported yesterday on CNN that Detroit and Chicago are seeing huge outbreaks. And I have family in both cities, and I hope everybody is staying safe and healthy. Washington State has 3,207 confirmed cases with 147 deaths, and Illinois has 3,026 confirmed cases with 26 deaths. Florida has 2,900 confirmed cases with 34 deaths. Louisiana has 2,746 confirmed cases with 119 deaths, and it was reported 2 days ago by CNN that Louisiana was the center of the world as far as infection rates, that they had the highest infection rates in the whole world. Minnesota here at home looks like our testing is still slow, but it's increasing. We are now up to 398 confirmed cases of the coronavirus with 4 deaths, and I want to correct a mistake from the other day. I said that Peggy Flanagan's brother was the first death. He actually died in Tennessee. The deaths in Minnesota are unrelated to Peggy Flanagan's brother. The other day I told you about an article written by Matt Stoller for The Guardian. The headline read, "The coronavirus relief bill could turn into a corporate coup if we aren't careful." And today, Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! Did a full interview with Matt Stoller of The Guardian, and he had some very choice words for the Democrats, including Senator Bernie Sanders. Here, I want you to watch the whole interview, and then I'll break it down afterwards. Check it out.
As we continue our look at the massive $2 trillion coronavirus relief package, the largest stimulus bill in U.S. history, with a guest who argues the country will be unrecognizable after this pandemic if big corporations walk away with trillions of dollars and no strings attached. Joining us via video stream is Matt Stoller, as so many guests are representing, are self-isolating in their homes to protect the larger community and themselves. Matt Stoller, research director at the American Economic Liberties Project, author of the book Goliath, The 100-Year War Between Monopoly Power and Democracy. His column for The Guardian is headlined, "The Coronavirus Relief Bill Could Turn into a Corporate Coup If We Aren't Careful." So the House is clearly passing this unprecedented $2.2 trillion bill today. Matt, what are your concerns?
Well, I mean, it's not really a $2 trillion bill. It's more like a $6 to $10 trillion bill. So one of the reasons you can tell that the bill is packed with corporate goodies is that, Congress is debating and trying to figure out, is it $2 trillion, a bunch of money for hospitals or money for cities. And meanwhile, a couple days ago, Larry Kudlow is on a press conference and says, actually, this is a $6 trillion bill. And it's like, how does a bill go from $2 trillion to $6 trillion without anyone really noticing? And the answer is there's a bunch of stuff in there. And, there are people on Wall Street chattering about how it's actually going to be 10 trillion because, what's another 4? And that's how you know that the bill is just packed with stuff for Wall Street, for large monopolists. And it's done through a variety of opaque slush funds, the Federal Reserve, the FDIC guarantees of bank debt. There's a whole bunch of stuff that, some of us who worked in the financial crisis noticed, paid attention to, said, oh, that's where they're stealing all the money. And so that there's a bunch of stuff in there that's going to get to Boeing and airlines that we know about, has been reported. There's also a bunch of stuff that's going to get to the hedge fund guys that are bunkering down in their, in their underground wine caves or whatever. And meanwhile, the stuff that we need, for normal people, the ventilators, the unemployment, that's going to dribble out. Small business is going to dribble out. And so what you're going to see is the $4 to $6 to $8 trillion of basically no cost or low cost guaranteed credit is going to be used by Citibank, JP Morgan, and then any big monopolist or large company that can get access to it to buy up their competitors and buy up small business who are obviously now in a really distressed state because they don't have any revenue. So that's what's going to happen. And I look forward to all of the progressives who are supporting this, like Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, supporting a wealth tax later on for all the wealth that they are right now transferring to Wall Street. That'll be fun.
CNBC's Jim Cramer said last Friday the economic downturn from the pandemic could leave the United States with just 3 retailers after the crisis ends. This is what he said.
We come out of this sooner than other small businesses can open. If we come out of this later, David, there's going to be 3 retailers in this country. There's going to be Amazon, there's going to be Walmart, and there's going to be Costco. And that is something that the government cannot afford to have happen.
So, Matt Stoller, if you can respond to what Cramer said, while President Trump stands at the White House podium saying we're spending much more time concerned about small business than big business. He didn't say we're spending much more money concerned about small business than big business.
I don't think that this is actually, I don't want to leave this on Trump. Honestly, this is the fault of the Democrats. This is the fault of Nancy Pelosi. It's the fault of members like Ilhan Omar, who just spoke about this, not paying attention to what's in the bill. It's the fault of Bernie Sanders. It's the fault of Elizabeth Warren. These are the people that had leverage, that had the ability to make an argument about what this bill is. And instead of saying that this bill is a handout to corporate America and a roll-up of power, they decided to stay quiet, let Chuck Schumer organize the whole process, and and do some moral grandstanding. And it's really embarrassing, and it's really a problem because they're lying to the progressive movement. They're lying to the Democratic Party. And so now we have no debate about what is effectively probably a more significant bill than TARP in 2008. And all of this stuff that's happening, the handover of power to Wall Street, is happening under the really cynical guise of helping people in a pandemic. A lot of this money is going to go some of the money is going to go to hospitals. Some of the money is going to go to help people in the pandemic. So there's some good stuff here. That, of course, is going to dribble out on the rickety infrastructure of the Small Business Administration and, unemployment insurance. Our government's been hollowed out, so this stuff isn't going to get out quickly enough. But I think we really have to take some responsibility as Democrats. I'm a Democrat, as progressives, as conservatives, as Republicans. This is a total system failure. This is a handover of power to Wall Street. And in a month or 2 or 3, people are going to get confused. They're going to say, wait a second, why isn't this working? What's happening? And this is the moment. The moment was this week when the House and Senate are voting on it. And you have a whole bunch of largely clueless, either stupid, corrupt, or cowardly members who won't actually look at what's in the bill, won't organize, won't think about it, won't debate. And so they've handed over, I didn't think that Bernie Sanders was going to hand the country over to big business, but that is effectively what he did. I didn't think Elizabeth Warren was going to do that, but that is effectively what she did.
You're attributing a lot of power to them.
Absolutely. The leverage point here was about the public debate. Last week, when Mitch McConnell was coming up with a bill, and I wrote about this, but others wrote about it.
Not including the Democrats in this.
Well, yeah, but the Democrats didn't make an argument about what was in that bill. They said, oh, OK, trillions of dollars for Wall Street. Sure, we'll call that pandemic relief. Instead of saying that's trillions of dollars for Wall Street, what we need is immediate pandemic relief. Instead, they conceded to Mitch McConnell and Steve Mnuchin that giving $1 trillion, $2, $3, $4 trillion to Wall Street was pandemic relief, and that's just nonsense. And so, and even today, they're not saying that what is in this bill. They don't even know that the bill is $6 trillion versus $2 trillion. I mean, the whole thing is just embarrassing and dishonest. Now, I could see them saying, yeah, it is a $6 trillion bill. I mean, I'll also say I have to, we have to get money out to hospitals. We have to get money out to small business. We have to get money out to ordinary people that are suffering right now. It's a real, you have to do it. And it will happen. If the Democrats had gotten together and blocked this bill, then, Mitch McConnell and Mnuchin and Kevin McCarthy and Trump would have had no choice but to accept any deal.
Let me play
Democrats put on the
presidential
table.
candidate Bernie Sanders speaking Wednesday night about the unprecedented, more than $2 trillion emergency relief bill.
I am very, very, very concerned about a $500 billion that will go out to the corporate world without, let me underline, without the accountability and transparency that is needed. We do not need, at this moment in history, to provide a massive amount of corporate welfare to large, profitable corporations. I think, as many of you are aware, you have industries like the airlines industries, among others, that have provided for stock buybacks, billions and billions of dollars for stock buybacks. They spent all their cash rewarding themselves and their stockholders. And lo and behold, today, they need a major bailout. So the concern here is, A, do we trust the Trump administration to effectively decide which company will get the loans or the grants? The answer is no, I do not. Do we think that these loans and grants during a political season will be used to benefit the president's election prospects? Absolutely, I do.
So, Matt Stoller, that's Bernie Sanders. I also want to ask about the 0% interest loans, then buy bonds and stocks that yield 2 to 6% interest. Who gets to do this?
So, first of all, that $500 billion that Bernie was talking about, it's actually more like $4.5 trillion. So just an FYI. If you have an account at a large bank, if you're a wealthy investor like Goldman Sachs, there's a whole set of programs that you can get access to at the Federal Reserve. At least this was the case in 2008, and the Fed says they're setting up similar structures where you can borrow from the Fed and you can gamble with it. And then if you lose, right, if you're in your gambling, then the Fed you don't have to pay the loan back to the Fed. So that's one of the, and this is one of the programs they say, we need to provide, liquidity in the markets or various other really super boring things that sound like you kind of go to sleep when you're like, all these alphabet soup programs and all this kind of jargon. But that's really what it is. It's just, heads I win, tails you lose. And that's a lot of what these programs are. I mean, the Fed has already hired BlackRock, which is one of the world's largest asset managers, to manage this multi-trillion-dollar bailout. And they've said that BlackRock is going to be allowed to participate in the bailout. So they're running the bailout and they're participating in the bailout. They're already stealing. Before the vote, the bill has even passed the House. I mean, this is just like, for a lot of us who worked in the financial crisis, this is just embarrassing. It's a bad joke to watch it go through with like literally no opposition from anyone in power. And I'm sorry, but Bernie Sanders getting up and grandstanding about an unemployment provision that he didn't negotiate that was going to die anyway, that's embarrassing and it's dishonest, and he shouldn't lie to his supporters like that.
And that was an interview with Matt Stoller by Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! This morning. And I have no reason not to trust Matt Stoller's analysis. The Democrats let us down. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, they really dropped the ball in the Senate. The Democrats let the Republicans, really lead why Warren and Sanders couldn't work out their differences and carry one of their packages. I really like Bernie's package, which offered $2,000 monthly payments to every adult. Why they couldn't get behind that, I don't know. Either way, Bernie looks like, he wants us to think that, he did his best, but according to Matt Stoller, they sold us out. Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, didn't put up the fight that, they say they would for the American public. And, with that said, I don't know what Bernie's chances are now of winning the Democratic nomination. Like I told you last week, he needed to put together a coalition and move his legislation in order to come out the hero, and he failed to do any of that. Joe Biden doesn't want to debate him anymore. So all I know is it leaves things up to us. To me, that means we're going to have to increase our escalation tactics. If the Democrats and the Republicans both want to, continue with the same system of coronavirus capitalism, then we really have to break this system. And I predict things are going to get a whole lot worse before they get better. We have to escalate. I predict, we're going to see something close to anarchy, which means much more state violence against Black and brown people especially. We're going to see the housing market is going to plummet real soon. People are not going to be able to pay rents or mortgages. Occupy is going to come back again, the Occupy movement. Foreclosure crisis is going to reemerge. And this time, though, the working people are going to have so much leverage. So, again, our leaders are failing us. Even the so-called progressive wing of the Democrats are failing us right now. And that means it's up to us to organize. It's always been up to us to organize. But things, unfortunately, might have to get ugly in order for us to break this system down. We're going to take a quick little break. I got a dope new track I'm going to play by Denzel Curry off his new album Unlocked, track 7. You could check out his YouTube channel and listen to the whole album. We'll be right back with the State of Hip Hop featuring my man, New Era, aka Mr. Hip Hop.
If he had his foot on it.
The final boss of this level looks like fucking Danny DeVito. We got this.
This man has the power of money. You know what the power of money can do?
Mad flavors. Pictures of the energy, it's like a lifesaver.
This time, make sure they're all dead before you leave.
I'ma get loose like a barbed wire big sister. Significant, never frivolous, mister.
Welcome back to People Power. That was Denzel Curry off his new album Unlocked. That track was called track 7. And we're back with my guy, New Era, aka Mr. Hip Hop. Welcome back to People Power.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on this segment of State of Hip Hop, man.
Yes, sir. Yep, we're back for our second edition, the State of Hip Hop. What do you got for us?
Kind of just on the same topic we've already been listening to, man. Denzel Curry, man. That's the Unlocked project with Kenny Beats, man. Dope project, man. Denzel Curry out of Carroll City, Florida. His 5th studio project. It's pretty dope, man. Kenny Beats coming straight out of Connecticut with the production, man. You could tell he has that East Coast sound, man. He's worked with Freddie Gibbs, Rico Nasty, Vince Staples, Gucci, man. So he's definitely putting work in the game, man.
So, off of this new album, Unlocked by Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats, what would you say? What are the highlights of the album?
I like the last 3 tracks on the album, actually. So Incredible, Track 7, and Cosmic. Those are my favorite joints on the project.
All right, let's get into one of the tracks, man. What we gonna hear?
So Incredible.
What the fuck level is this? Why do you get that and I get this? This ain't gonna work, bro.
Oh, no, it's gonna work. This nigga don't even got a horn. Bitch, you got a bell.
Okay, motherfucker. Watch me hit this turn. Watch.
Oh, get it.
I don't write rhymes, nigga, I write checks. Might rewrite your life if the price set. Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the nigga Denzel coming out of the zoo. Carrot City, what I breed. Dissect the flow so you can see what I bleed. Put it all together and it forms to one thing. Captain Planet, I'm on my packing cannons to crack Atlantis. It's so incredible. Looking at your face is so regrettable. Better fix your mother, gotta rush you to the medical doctor. Bugging out like Flick versus Hopper. Untouchable to any window shopper. Mannequin, flow scorched the benches like it's Anakin. Smoking cannabis, but ain't no journals that I'm handling. Like, who brings a composition to the competition? There's gonna be some consequences when I'm. Now let me turn it to the judge and throw the book out. Then skew it on the Barbie like a motherfucking cookout. This rhyme is dedicated to every MC I took out, and ones that got the best in me, so all y'all niggas look out. Hey, yo, I chef mad flavors. Bitches up the energy, it's like a lifesaver. Shave it off the top, it's sorta like a lightsaber. She's greater, he's greater. When they mention I, definition of the fly. And that's why I don't write rhymes, nigga, I write checks. Might rewrite your life if the price set. Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the nigga Denzel coming out of the zoo. Carrot City, what I breed. Dissect the flow so you can see what I bleed. Put it all together and it forms to one thing. Captain Planet, I'm on my packing cannons to crack Atlantis. It's so incredible.
That was Denzel Curry, So Incredible, off of YouTube. That video is super dope. You could go to YouTube, subscribe to Denzel Curry's YouTube channel, and you could watch the whole video. The first track I ever heard of him was Cash Maniac off his 2018 album TA 1300. And that Cash Maniac song it's a banger, club banger, a car banger, a summertime barbecue banger. He's bringing back that old boom bap hip hop.
I think I'm gonna rate it 3 blunts. I like the production. Like I said, the lyrics is pretty cool, man. I like the creativity. So I think 3 blunts is pretty good, man.
Well, I haven't listened to the whole album, but you definitely have piqued my interest. So I'm going to take my time this weekend and give the whole album a thorough listen. But I highly recommend this Denzel Curry. It's gone.
All right, we're going to get right into our next topic. We've had discussions about it for years now. Our top 5 artists of all time. I will kick it off and give you my top 5 and in the correct order I think is appropriate. My number 5 artist of all time would be J. Cole. J. Cole. I got to give it to my man J. Cole, man. Since he's been in the game, he's been consistent. I think my top album from J. Cole would be Born Sinner. I think that's his best project. People can say different, but for me, I really enjoyed that album. I really got a grasp of how good he was lyrically on that album. So big ups to J. Cole. My number 4, I'm gonna give it to Kendrick Lamar, man. Kind of like J. Cole, since he's been in the game, man, he's been consistent and he's been on top. When you think about the J. Coles, the Drakes, the Kendricks, his name is up there right now, consistently. And one of my favorite albums of Kendrick would be kind of before the fame, Section 80. Oh man, you could just vibe. I used to drive to Chicago, man, from Minnesota, and just kind of vibe out to that whole album, track after track.
ADHD.
Yeah, man, I love albums where I can just listen to track after track without skipping. So
yeah,
Kendrick,
I agree. Section 80, that's my
man. Number 3, I got to give it to my man Jay-Z. Hova, man, and what's not to like about Hova? I mean, every album. I don't think it's an album I probably just didn't prefer. But my top albums would be Reasonable Doubt, of course, all the Blueprints, but Blueprint 3 for me was like his best blueprint for me. I mean, come on. Not too much. Enough said. Speak less about Jay, man. He's still on top of the game. Stay relevant through all this. So, man, my man Jay. Number 2, and it gets kind of tricky around these parts, but my number 2 would be Tupac. My favorite albums would be Me Against the World. But Strictly for My Niggas was a classic for me as well. That's when I really first started listening to Tupac. And what can I say, man? So little time, he changed the game. He changed the world. So very inspirational. Like I said, he gave us both sides. He gave his most vulnerable sides. He gave his happy sides, his angry sides. So like his passion into his words and his lyrics is what kind of moved me. I felt what he was saying more than any other artist. So Tupac's my number 2. And my number 1, I have to give it to Notorious B.I.G. Just when he came into the game, man, it was something New York needed. It was something the game needed. And his storytelling ability is what kind of grasped me. I'm like, man, he can kind of just send me on a voyage with him, and I could just close my eyes and envision what Big was saying. So, man, for me, also lyrically, he changed the game. So, Biggie was my number 1, will be my number 1. And that won't change, man. So that's my top 5.
All right, well, let's play. What's your favorite Biggie song? We're going to play that for our listeners.
I have so many, but I think when you think about Ready to Die, I think one of my favorite joints was Everyday Struggle.
I would agree. That's my favorite Biggie track. We're going to give that a listen. You can find that whole album on YouTube, Ready to Die. Here is Everyday Struggle by Notorious B.I.G.
Death knocking at my front door. I'm living every day like a hustle. Another drug juggle. Another day, another struggle. I don't wanna live no more. Sometimes I hear death knocking at my front door. I'm living every day like a hustle. Another drug juggle. Another day, another struggle. I know how it feel to wake up fucked up. Pockets broke as hell. Another rock to sell. People look at you like you's the user, selling drugs to all the losers, mad Buddha abuser. But they don't know about your stress-filled day. Baby on the way, mad bills to pay. That's why you drink Tanqueray, so you can reminisce and wish you wasn't living so devilish. Shit, I remember I was just like you, smoking blunts with my crew, flipping over 62s, cause GED wasn't B.I.G. I got P.A.I.D. That's why my mom hate me. She was forced to kick me out, no doubt. Then I figured out niggas went for 20s down south. Packed up my tools for my raw power move. Glock 19 for casket and flower moves. For Trump's trying to stop my flow. And what they don't know will show on the autopsy. Went to see Poppy to cop me a brick. Asked for some consignment, he wasn't trying to hear it. Smoking mad Newports cause I'm doing court for an assault that I caught in Bridgeport, New York. Catch me if you can like the gingerbread man. You better have your gat in hand, cause man, I don't wanna live no more. Sometimes I hear death knocking at my front door. I'm living every day like a hustle. Another drug juggle. Another day, another struggle.
So my top 5 greatest rappers of all time is very different than Mr. Hip Hop. Jay didn't make the cut for me. My top 5 greatest rappers of all time is based on their abilities as lyricists, but also the message in the music. I'm very much motivated by the message of music. Music is political for me. So number 5, a lot of folks haven't even heard of this cat. He's pretty underground. From Harlem, New York, Immortal Technique. He dropped 2 classic albums, Revolutionary Volume 1, Revolutionary Volume 2. He hasn't dropped an album in quite a while. You know, his fans have been waiting on him to drop the middle passage for about 15 years, and he finally announced last year that the album is finished and it should be coming to, you know, the audience this year in 2020. So look for Immortal Technique, the middle passage this year. Number 4, I'm going to give it to the OG Ice Cube. From South Central Los Angeles. Y'all know Ice Cube from NWA. You know, he wrote most of their hits from Straight Outta Compton to Eazy-E's solo albums. Then, of course, he dropped his own solo albums with America's Most Wanted. And then one of, I think, the most classic albums of all time, Death Certificate. And then, of course, he had Lethal Injection, Predator. And he's still bringing us hits today. He's gotten more commercial over time. But you could check out some of his earlier classics. Ice Cube is a legend.
Ice Cube, man.
Number 3, I'm going to give it to KRS-One. KRS-One is everybody's favorite rapper for real. You know, of course, KRS-One started his career with the Boogie Down production in the mid-'80s, him and DJ Scott LaRock, until Scott LaRock was tragically murdered. Then, you know, KRS-One really led the Stop the Violence hip-hop movement in the late 80s. He began dropping solo albums. KRS-One self-titled album, Edutainment, is a classic. Get on YouTube, listen to that whole album, classic album. Number 2, this might surprise some folks, but number 2 for me is Talib Kweli, One Half of Black Star. That album in 1998 really helped change the game of hip-hop. You know, it came on the heels of the murder of Pac and Biggie and the rise of the Jiggy era, and they really led a movement, Talib Kweli and Mos Def, with this Black Star album to really
One of my favorite projects.
to really bring voice back to true lyricism. And then Talib Kweli has been very consistent with his solo career, unlike Mos Def, as far as I'm concerned. And the number 1 slot for me, the number 1 greatest rapper of all time is, of course, Tupac. Anybody who knows me isn't surprised by that.
Can nobody argue with that? I think that's...
The debate about Tupac is around lyricism. A lot of people say Tupac is not lyrical. I beg to differ. I think Tupac was very lyrical. Tupac was the first emo rapper before anybody was using the term emo rapper. Tupac put his heart and soul, he put his pain and struggle and love into the music, into the lyrics. And, you know, Tupac, his style was pretty simple. It wasn't complex. But to say he wasn't lyrical is just, it's not correct. And to prove it, you know, I'm going to say, so my favorite Pac album, of course, is Me Against the World. That's a classic. But people are asleep on Pac's first few albums. Tupacalypse Now, Strictly for My Niggas. You know, Tupac was very different on his first 2 albums than all the rest. Tupac was a straight child of the revolution. Those first 2 albums were revolutionary movement music. I liken Tupacalypse Now to think about if Chuck D from Public Enemy and Ice Cube had a baby, they would name it Tupacalypse Now. So we're going to listen to a track from Tupacalypse Now, Part-Time Mother, just to prove y'all that Tupac had lyrics.
She's 22, lives right on the dope track. Used to be fat, now weighs less than a tic tac. Now what's that say about this big epidemic? This hypocritical world of the people in it. Now speaking of in it, Cindy love to get buck wild. Buck with a smile, shake a bounce, show us not style. That would be cool if she was a lover. But fuck that, Cindy was my dope fiend mother. Welfare checks never stepped through the front door. His moms would run to the dope man once more. All those days had me fiending for a hot meal. Now I'm a crook, got steel, I do not fit. So don't even trip when I flip with my 38. Revenge is a bitch and my hips shake the mercury. Word to the mother, touch. When moms come by, niggas hush or get rushed. Maybe one day she'll recover. But what will it take to shake or break my part-time mother? I
That's my time for today. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, People Power Podcast. Like us on Facebook. Please be safe out there. Stay healthy. Stay inside. Stay at home. Only leave your home to get, some fresh air or to run to the grocery store or other places that are vital. Wash your hands. Use a lot of hand sanitizer. And take care of each other. All power to the people who organize. Peace, y'all.